Matt Kutcher was on the movie our special effect master. He did amazing stuff and he saved us.
Matt Kutcher and his group came and they just did like an amazing work. Matt was always ready in time, even earlier than we were.
Pirahana 3D is like no other movie I've ever done. Yeah, I've done many movies where a majority of it takes place on water, but not horror movies. You know, this one definitely is labor intensive.
We have not only the blood, but we have all the bubble of the schooling fish attacking people, and that needs to be created as a rig. Then we have all the sinking White Wild Girl yacht with the glass bottom and all the crash. Then we have the floating stage of the wet t-shirt contest that collapsed during the attack. And then we have like so many other, like huge element that needs to be created.
Yeah, I think Alex has been pretty happy, you know. I try to exceed any expectation he has, which is hard because he has huge expectations. So I work very hard trying to surprise him, come up with something he can't believe.
When you have so many difficulties, so many challenges in the shooting itself, weather, water, extra people, everything, to have like one department that's so important, working so well and being so creative was just a blessing. So one of the biggest set pieces in the movie was the actual spring break under attack. It was definitely the most dreadful, the most challenging scene I ever shot in my life in all the departments. And it started as like a wet t-shirt contest with 1,000 kids having a party in the middle of the lake, and then the first piranha bites and the blood through the pack and everyone gets attacked. And because they're all swimming, they all like run to that floating stage where the wet t-shirt was taking place, because there are too many on the floating stage gets in balance and start tilting, and everyone that saw that was safe start falling in the water. You don't make a stage collapse like this because there's people swimming and you will kill them if this collapse. So everything is rigged in some kind of hydraulic pump that tilt the stage.
It's basically an amusement park ride. It sits level, we activate the hydraulics, it tips into whatever the configuration the director requires, however Alex wants it to happen, and we put it back and do it again all day long, days and days and days on end. When the audience sees it, it lasts 3 minutes. For us, it lasts 5 days.
But this is like such an heavy system, and because we are in Arizona and California, we cannot anchor things. So you have to build up something that's just going to be on the ground without touching or without degrading any seaweeds or any rock or anything, which is a little bit extreme sometimes, but I understand why. So it was just such a challenge for Matt Kutcher and his crew to build up that stage.
Oh yeah, it's not only keeping our cast and crew safe, but how do you keep 500 civilians safe? Why, 30 some odd tons of steel are coming out of the water. So the safety parameters are massive, and it takes huge amount of prep to facilitate the time of shoot. We've been working on this picture for months, basically on chalkboards, trying to figure out exactly what to do when the time comes, and make a plan and stick to it, and it's worked really good for us.
So obviously your stage is now in the holy shit position, and everybody's starting to fall off, plenty of blood in the water, sparks are going, and now the truss starts to break apart, hitting the boat. So it's just another degree of difficulty, adding one more element to the storm, yeah?
And for all the underwater stuff, we try to shoot in the lake, but even if the water was pretty clear, it was not, transparent enough. And we thought about like going away back in California or somewhere else to use like a pre-existing tank. And finally, we decided to just dig our own little tank.
Built the biggest tank in North America in Lake Havasu. It was hot there. It was really hot and really hard to shoot, but we decided to build it. It was too hard and too expensive to do elsewhere. So we built a friggin' tank in the middle of Havasu.
The intention of a tank always is to have total control over the water and the light and the color. And so we have these giant filters. We have a, I think, almost 2 million gallon tank built here in the middle of the desert.
It's about 30 feet deep and about 185 feet long by about 100 feet wide.
The water is considerably clearer than in the lake, but we can sort of murk it back to taste to feel like the lake as we need to. And it allows us to move the lights around and sort of recreate some of the things on the lake, but without the 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts and the silt coming up from the bottom, taking the water to zero visibility, and all the things that are threatening about the natural environment for filmmaking purposes.
And within this tank, we actually have about 7 sets that are built within it. You can't see them because they're underwater now. But there's a huge crevasse because in the beginning of the movie, there's an earthquake that creates this huge crevasse, and we have divers swimming down through this crevasse. And down at the bottom, then we have a little tunnel, and they go into this, and then we built a separate little tank set that is now the interior of this tunnel that they sort of swim through, you know, and they have to get to their new destination, which is the interior of this underground cave that's just been exposed by the earthquake. And within this is where the piranha have been living for millions of years, and then they attack, and that's how they escape.
The Waterberg was not only one boat we were shooting. It looks so, real, and it looks like we are like in the same boat all the time, but no, we're not.
We have 3 boats. We have the real boat that never sinks. We have this boat that Matt Kutcher, our special effects guy, did an amazing job with in sinking in 3 different stages. And then we built the interior of that boat so we could shoot all the interior scenes in there.
The inside is much bigger than the inside of the other boat, but it's huge.
Boats are inherently pretty small universes into work. So we built this other one, which is this big, gigantic monster behind us. And in that, we've made it a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to shoot in, and it's also been put on a mechanical gimbal or a mechanical lever that will raise and lower so we can control the sinking of it. It makes it safer for everyone and also controllable so we can raise it back up and sink it again and raise it back up and sink it again.
It sinks upwards of 30 feet under the water, and it sinks quickly. So it is controlled, but it's also unforgiving, and it takes a really talented group of people to make sure that everybody's safe around it, from the person operating it to the person swimming underneath it, make sure nobody gets trapped or caught. So it's a huge group effort.
That's critical that nobody goes underneath that set. There's all kinds of steel and angle iron and everything. You come up underneath there and you could have a serious head injury. Also, the glass part, as we know, is breakable underneath the set. It's tempered glass only.
We're here at the Glass Bottom Gimbal, and basically it's a Disneyland ride. You get on it, we hit a valve, and the whole motion base bounces around, and this place is around 60-some-odd thousand pounds. And 3, 2, 1, big splash right here.
They turn on the generator and it goes because we get caught in the seaweed and we crash, and it's so fun.
So in this scene, the boat's tied off to a chain, and by virtue of throttling left engine, right engine, forward and reverse, it'll look like it's stuck on a big rock as it escapes from its seaweed demise. it's all about, how the glass hits the rock in the movie.
Just the kind of acceleration, the last push before we see the rock crash it.
Watch your head, watch your head.
But it's not only, you know, like those elements that are important on the Waterberg. It's then that final set piece where the Waterberg is sinking.
We had our real Barracuda, which the effects company had rigged to make it sink with some series of pontoons.
Basically what we've done is we've taken the identical boat as the hero boat with the big glass bottom in it and rigged it to be able to sink on cue and then to hold a level. So you guys, you know, the audience believes that the boat's really sinking, although when we do it, it'll take about 12 hours of one day and 12 hours the next day to sink this boat. So what you're looking at now is the manifold. This manifold supports the flotation system. Air goes through each one of those hoses and into these big black tanks and keeps the boat floating in a sunk position. The other manifold here on the ground that you're looking at now, that's water. Water will ingress or egress through that and make it look like there's a higher volume of water coming in and out of the boat. The bulkhead, this front piece of the boat that doesn't exist in the real Waterbug, that's all filled with foam and 1-inch plywood with fiberglass. That'll be the ultimate flotation when we sink it into its maximum position. As it starts to fill with water, we're going to enhance it with pumps through that big green fantail. That'll throw out huge volumes of water and make you believe it's sinking violently and rapidly. Hollywood magic.
Then you have that, you know, like important set pieces where you have the speedboats coming to rescue the Waterberg sinking. And we couldn't anchor the Waterberg and we couldn't anchor the speedboats. And we needed to find a solution to anchor them since there is that ski rope in between where everyone is crossing, you know, above the Pirahana. But physically, if you don't anchor boats, you cannot have the power enough to pull that rope tight.
Of course, it was impossible to do it real, you know. Our boat will move like this, you know, and it needs to be safe. 2 kids will be on the rope.
So after like weeks of conversation and meeting and brainstorming, Matt Kutcher came with the best solution. He came with an idea of using one of our Waterberg Hero Wild Wild Girl boats and the speedboats, using a different speedboat than the moving one, and creating like a whole rig underwater that tied both boats together as one floating element, and then having the rope being tied on the top of that.
So we've designed as a rig that holds the cable secure and taut and allows you to climb back and forth. And as we activate a ram under the water, the cable will move up and down as if the ski boat's moving in and out.
It's funny because you look at the movie and you have the feeling that they are both boats, but if you dive underneath, you see a gigantic structure that joined the 2 boats and that we can move the 2 elements together. And that was such a smart solution. I mean, this was the only way of doing it.
Keep going now.
Rope climbing actually might be my second choice for the most fun I've had.
We had to act all scared and then start climbing the rope. We had to wear this harness. It was really tight, but it wasn't as bad as you might think.
I didn't get as bad blisters as Brooklyn. She got these big calluses, but I got these tiny little blisters from climbing the rope so much and shredded up my ankles because I did it. It was fun though.
Kelly, playing Danny, she kept on accidentally hitting me in the face with her foot. And then Sage would be like putting his hands over my feet because we're all trying to move, but we can't because she's dropping, she's getting eaten, and it's fun, but it's a little bit challenging.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. I was most worried that I was going to fall in the water and be really embarrassed. But yeah, I was also, you know, the sprained ankle could have happened. Any number of things could have happened.
We because they put the piranhas in with CGI. The scuba divers, water safety guys, put on these green gloves and they go and jump at our hair and stuff. It's fun. It's really fun.
I think somebody just bit me. Hey, keep looking forward. Stop looking down.
So go back in, come out again, flail for a second, and fall in.
That will need to happen out there. He might be hanging out just for insurance, and you know, our
It's gonna be sunset in 20 minutes. We have to shoot the explosion of our boat.
It's 5 cameras altogether. We got Pete in the water down there. We've got an additional camera over there. Paul's over there working that one. 8 cameras out on the barge. And I believe there will be one more.
There's an electrical wire that goes out there that'll set off the demolitions. We have small soft packs of black powder called lifters that will send the gasoline up into the air, and then there are flash packs which will ignite the gasoline. These hoses here carry propane out to the boat for the aftermath shots, so that we can see fires burning, but it's not actually the boat burning, it's propane. I've just turned on our high pressure pump so that we have fire protection. We have hoses right up on the hill to wet down all this area up here. All this brush is very dry. Pre-wet it down so that if the wind were to shift while the fireball were up, and then we have hoses that are run into the boat so that when the boat's on fire, we can open a valve and spray the whole boat down to put the boat out afterwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kaboom! We are hot, we are ready, Rip.
We are rolling.
Stand by for you.
The sequence we're filming right now, there's a near miss where the hero swerves out of the way, coming back to rescue more victims, and he rolls over. So that's why we have the waterproof rig on here.
So for the jet ski part with Adam Scott like doing his U-turn, I mean Adam Scott like just like died to do that scene. He was always talking about that scene. He wanted it so bad to do it. So he rehearsed with Alex Daniel. I think they rigged the jet ski and put a cable on it, just like to have the possibility to pull the cable and make the jet ski flips.
I'm about to ride a jet ski underwater. I'm gonna jump underwater, like actually do it.
I mean, the stunt side of the movie is already huge, because it's not only about like turning a jet ski underwater. It's about creating that attack massacre scene where everyone is climbing on the stage and getting hold on the railing and then falling in the water. And you cannot put extra doing that. That doesn't exist. So you need hundreds of stunt people.
Hi, welcome to the massacre. Right now we have about 33 stunt people on stage and about 31 special extras that rehearse with the stunt people. They're all getting ready to die. They're going to be dying nasty because they all have to climb onto the stage that is tilting and falling on top of each other. Hopefully it's all going to go well. No one will die, but they're going to certainly look like it, we hope. In addition, we're plugging in probably another 50 or 60 people on top of the 72 that have rehearsed. So we'll see what happens.
Stunts on the front of the stage, fall in. Cut, cut, cut! Cut, cut! Very nice. Okay, check your areas, guys. Check your buddy. Raise your hand if something's wrong. Raise your hand.
This is mostly bump and grind, get bruised kind of stunt work, and it's really the best preparation is the experience of working in the movies, understanding camera, understanding how to sell beginning, middle, and end. A lot of people think, oh yeah, sure, I can fall off that thing, but it's sort of selling the action before and then following through, so it doesn't look like you're about to do a stunt, but it looks like you're a real person and this is happening to you. That's the biggest preparation for these things.
So we are on the road, and that's the opening scene. Not the opening scene, but the introducing scene of the USGS dive arriving in town and crossing into that convertible full of cheerleaders.